Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It is me, Lex, here, and I would love to give a huge thank you to anyone who has subscribed, liked, commented, and done anything else on this channel to boost my channel up. I do believe I hit my 50th subscriber as of the time of recording, which I know is so small, but in these YouTube streets, it really means a lot that 50 of y'all are like, I like you enough that I want to see your videos come up in my subscriber feed. So that's amazing. So thank you so much, so much to all of you guys who have liked, subscribed, commented, everything. Those of y'all who have boosted my videos. You guys have been so supportive of my little YouTube journey, and it honestly means the world. Like, you guys don't understand. This is just a passion project, you know, as I'm like job searching or even figuring out what I want to do, because to be honest, I do want to try to build up my creative passions, YouTube being one of them, but I also do commission writing. I don't want to ramble too much because I know y'all are here to watch Love is Blind. So if you haven't subscribed, please like, share, subscribe, comment, share this with your friends, share this with your family. I don't care. Please support my little channel if you like the vids. If you don't, it's no hard feelings. Anyways, Love is Blind, episode 7, season 6. We gonna call this Kenneth is having regrets. Kenneth is done. Okay, Kenneth is having regrets, but we'll get there. So we start this episode off with Chelsea and Jimmy. As you remember, in the last episode, episode 6, they ended basically on a cliffhanger where the two of them were in a fight because all night Jimmy was all over the girls and he was not talking to his soon-to-be potential wife. So basically, there's nothing really much there. They're like, you know, he's like, are you mad at me? And Chelsea's like, no. And it's like, Chelsea just screams big desperate to me. Some people are saying pick me, but she's just giving big desperate, I want anybody who wants me energy. You know, I'm not saying she's a perfect person, but I feel like at the end of the day, Jimmy is no catch. Jimmy is no catch at all. So I'm just so concerned and shocked why all these women want Jimmy so badly. But Jimmy does apologize, and he says he doesn't want to put her in a position where she feels sad or hurt about anything that has went on. He's basically like, I don't want you to feel like I don't love you. I don't want you. I don't care about you. You know, he tells her, you gotta work with me. You gotta work with me. I'm trying my best, blah, 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 blah. And I just feel like it just seems odd to me for him to really do that when I feel like he's also been the main one holding on to that Megan Fox thing. That she said she looked like Megan Fox and she doesn't. And that has literally, I think, warped this man's mind, low key. I saw it best. You know, I do agree and think that if she never said she looked like Megan Fox, he would have probably found her decently attractive. But I think because he had his hopes so high, it's like, well, you don't look like Megan Fox. So now he's upset. But that's basically those two. They forgive each other. They're kissing on the bed. They're good, supposedly. Supposedly. Let's say that. So Brittany and Kenneth, these two, I told y'all. I don't like to say I told you so, but I told y'all that these two, I wasn't seeing it. I think in the pods, it was fine. I think even in the early vacation, it's fine. Sorry, y'all, my nose is really itchy off of nowhere. But these two, I knew it was going to be problematic. I thought it was, I ain't gonna hold you. I thought it potentially was going to be Brittany, but I knew this couple was going to be problematic. I just did not see it for them. From the time they did their review, to me, I got friend vibes. I did not get romantic connection whatsoever between these two. So they continue on the race convo. Basically, Brittany is telling Kenneth, like, hey, AD, you know, well, let me say this. Kenneth is telling Brittany that AD was having this conversation with him about race, about raising Black kids. And Brittany is basically like, oh, well, I hope that's not coming from like a place of malice. I hope that's not really coming from a place of like misintent. Like I do believe that she meant it genuinely, but I do hope that it's not really coming from this place of thinking that, I can't do that or I'm not capable of that. So she again kind of talks about the perception of the relationship, and she understands that there are people that may perceive this relationship a certain way, but she doesn't want that to affect us. And Kenneth is also talking about how, he's cool. He likes her, but he knows that his people is going to be like, what's going on? Like, why are you, well, talk to me, Ken, like what's going on? And so he understands that this relationship is not necessarily going to go down as hunky-dory as they expect. And to be honest, again, I think these conversations about race are very important, because at the end of the day, I'm not somebody that thinks that you need to be okay. Let me say this correctly. I don't think you have to date interracially if you don't want to. I think that dating interracially does have a lot of external hurdles that you don't necessarily have when you're dating someone of your same race. I'm not saying that you're going to date someone of your same race and it's going to be a successful relationship, but as somebody who is now engaged to someone who is not Black, and I've also been with somebody who was Black in a serious relationship for multiple years, multiple people who are Black, I'm just saying there are definitely different kinds of conversations and different kinds of hurdles and different kinds of experiences that I have in this relationship that I did not have when I was with somebody Black. And I'm not saying that it means I don't want to be with them. I'm just saying it does create a different experience. And I think that for Kenneth, because, okay, I didn't really believe that Kenneth never dated a white girl. Someone put in the comments, and I agree with you, that he maybe never dated a white girl, but he definitely has dated non-Black. That, I think, is put very well. I definitely think that man has dated non-Black. But I think for him, yeah, he is just really starting to have kind of worries about not, dating somebody who is white, and what that looks like, and what that looks like for raising kids, and what that looks like for just life in general. And I think sometimes it doesn't always mesh. Like, that's the reality, is that I think people on both sides of the relationship have to be open to hearing and understanding the experiences of others, and also have to be very open to having these tough conversations, which I'm not gonna hold you. You don't have to want to do that. I think especially as a Black person, you don't have to want to be in a relationship where you may find yourself constantly explaining all these different parts of your culture, all these different parts of the Black experience. And I'm not saying that would necessarily happen, but at the end of the day, as a Black person, you're going to have experiences that a non-Black person just doesn't have. And so I definitely understand how this may all be coming down on Kenneth. Now, I'm not gonna hold you. I think Kenneth, he has upgraded himself to menace status, okay? Kenneth is a menace. I will say that for one. But I think at least in this particular conversation, I understood some of where he was coming from. Brittany does state that she has dated Black men before, and Kenneth even says, I understand, you're telling me you've dated Black men, you're telling me you're down for it, but again, Kenneth is getting cold feet. I don't know if he's an avoidant personality. I don't know if he's like, yo, I really am seeing the nuances of dating somebody who is white or non-Black. I don't know what's going on with Kenneth, but he is definitely feeling distant. So then we have Jeremy and Laura. They basically talk about the fight that they had last night, the whole bean dip situation. And Laura has upgraded herself to menace as well. Okay, I am not feeling Laura whatsoever after this episode. I don't know about y'all, but I am not feeling Laura at all. So Laura, she's basically talking to Jeremy, and she's like, look, I would have been in relationships before where my partner did things that embarrassed me, and I had to kind of like live with that and sit with that. And I just felt like what you did last night was not fair. I was really triggered. She said she was triggered by previous relationships when he, I guess, went to AD and told her the story. And she's basically like, if I told you a story, why are you going and telling it to other people? And to be honest, I'm sorry, But what the fuck is going on with these white folk? What the heck is going on with these white folk? Because y'all are sitting here arguing, squabbling back and forth over the fact that y'all were sexualizing a black woman. This black woman, this innocent black woman that did not do anything to none of y'all are literally squabbling and going back and forth and talking about, it was just a joke, it was just a joke. Laura, who cares if it was just a joke? You were sexualizing the woman. And for what it's worth, maybe Jeremy felt uncomfortable. That's why he said something. Because at the end of the day, it's like, what are we doing? Why are we randomly sexualizing folks who did not ask to be sexualized by you? That's my question about these two. But anyways, they go on and on and on. Laura is talking about how she did nothing wrong. She's like, I did nothing wrong. I don't understand why this all even happened. Girl, what? You started this. And so that for me already indicates the kind of human that Laura is, and absolutely and totally indicates that she is somebody that is dangerous, because she is somebody that will take a situation. First off, my first thing about Laura that I don't like is that she overbears like the entire conversation. She does not let you talk. She doesn't let you get a word edgewise, and she demands you. She was like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do next time I tell you a story. Girl, don't talk to this man like he's a baby, like he's a child. I don't know who you think you are, but don't talk to him like that, okay? Number two, she is one of those people that is a victim. In this situation, how are you the victim? We even saw her in the party being like, I don't get it. It was just a joke. It was just a joke. It was just a joke. And it's like, girl, you said something that one, people was like, what is going on? But number two, you were randomly sexualizing somebody and people got upset. What do you mean you did nothing wrong? This girl really got on my nerves. Like now, Laura, I do not like Laura whatsoever. So they eventually do make up. They are eventually like, yeah, you know, it's all fine at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. They kiss, they make up. I feel like Jeremy though, I hope Jeremy is kind of like starting to see like, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So Amy and Johnny, all I have to say is cute. Like my notes literally just say they were cute. They were riding horses. They are talking about how they feel a spark. They feel an emotional connection with one another. They are really happy with who they chose. Amy does bring up again how she was concerned that, you know, in the beginning, maybe the physical attraction wouldn't be there, but they do overall have a physical attraction. And that's really all we see from these two at this point of the episode. So we pan back to Brittany and Kenneth. And again, this man is having regrets. At this point, they are on the boat and they are sitting there silently. Like Kenneth is saying absolutely nothing. It was to the point where I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why do you think you can treat people like this? Like, this is my problem with some of the people on this show. It's like, why do you think you can treat people like this? Brittany is trying to have, like, Brittany's not saying much at the moment, but they are literally sitting on this boat in silence. Kenneth is saying absolutely nothing, staring off into space. And then Brittany does start to try to ask him just like some little questions. He's giving one-word answers. And it's like, this is what I'm talking about. I tried to tell y'all that a 25-year-old man is not ready for marriage. I want my flowers. I don't care. I want my flowers, because I told you all that a 25-year-old man is not ready for marriage. And this is what I mean. Because in what world do you think you could just sit and give people the silent treatment like this? We see this over the whole show. This man is giving this lady the silent treatment. Why do you think that you can just sit here and say nothing like this to her? Ignore her. Ignore her. He is literally ignoring her. He eventually starts to talk about how he once swam with dolphins and it was cute, blah, blah, blah. But she does ask him, Brittany does ask Kenneth, what is his view on physical touch? And he's like, well, it's a way to validate. It's a way to validate me. So yeah, I like it. It's a way to validate me. Is that all? I mean, is that all you got? Like, he is very rigid. Kenneth is so rigid. Like, ever since he had that conversation with AD last episode, and now he's here, it seems like that has changed his whole viewpoint. And it's like, did you not? You knew you were gonna be with a white girl. Like, I don't know if it's that. I don't know what it is with Kenneth. But it just seems like ever since that race conversation and then the subsequent conversation that they had, it's like Kenneth has been moving mad. I'm like, Kenneth, you knew you were about to be with a white girl. What is going on? So they are in a very awkward spot, Brittany and Kenneth right now. So AD and Clay. First off, that man is still calling her baby every single 2 seconds. Yeah, baby, you looking good, baby. Oh yeah, I like that, baby. Baby, baby, baby. Do you even know this woman's name? They start to get into a conversation about where they're from, and she talks about how she's from Boston, and I am also from Boston, so I thought it was really, I felt that conversation. Boston does have a lot of beaches, especially for like a northern coastal city. You got Martha's Vineyard, you got the Cape, you got Nahant, you got Situate, you got Revere Beach. Like, there are so many beaches in Boston. So I am from, so I felt that convo when they was talking about Boston, and Clay goes, I never want to go up to Boston. And I'm like, go to Boston. I know y'all Southern folk, but go to Boston. It's a good city experience. Okay, I don't live there now because it's too dang expensive for me to live up there, okay? But trust me, Boston is a good experience, for a city experience. And AD's talking about how she can't wait to walk through the city and show him off as her fiance. These two. So Clay mentions that he's Guyanese. And baby, that literally cracked the, like, if you know, you know. I'm not Guyanese, I'm Grenadian, but baby, we all Caribbean folks, okay? And he said he Guyanese, and I was like, okay. I completely understand. I felt like I cracked the code on Clay when he talking about his father's a womanizer and all I was like, oh, okay. I totally get this. As a fellow Caribbean, baby, the men be kinda. So I completely understood Clay when he said he was Guyanese. I was like, okay, got it. So Clay is literally eating that soup and them tostones. Baby, he is literally eating those things and he is slurping, and AD's face is like, baby, what is going on? AD is like, oh, I hope that makes AD stop being all over this man. I hope that makes AD stop wanting to jump this man's bones. But yeah, so Clay then brings up that he is worried and he doesn't want to be the guy that breaks AD's heart. He always kind of refers back to how his father treated his mother, how, even though they were best friends, he did cheat on his mother. And there would even be times, and he would really talk about how he's very concerned about the marriage thing. And AD is not feeling great about that, as she shouldn't, I'll be honest. Any man that I've ever like dated or talked to in any capacity that was like, oh, I'm really worried, I'm really worried. I don't want to be the man that breaks your heart. I want to be the different one. I want to be the changed one. Baby, he was never changed. He was never the different one out of any of them. So I understand AD's concern, because I think for him to constantly be saying that my father was like this, I want to change, I want to be different, I'm used to this, I'm used to that. It's like, yeah, I get it. We're all used to things. We all have trauma. We all have things that we saw in our childhood and in our experiences. But at the end of the day, one person is not going to be the person to change you. If you haven't been doing that work to change, then no one else is going to change you. I will say he mentions frequently that he wants to go to therapy. So I certainly hope that he actually goes to therapy, and not couples therapy. At least not first, because couples therapy, I've been there. It centers on couples. It doesn't typically center on individual behaviors. I think Clay definitely needs to be in an individual therapist first. And then, of course, they can go to couples therapy if they so decide to, or premarital counseling or something like that. So AD is very upset, and she's like, this comment just feels so random. It feels so out of nowhere. And Clay's like, I'm just trying to be honest. And AD is like really upset. She's like, I don't want to hear that though. And I get it. I think I get both sides of this. I don't necessarily think there's a right or a wrong way that this conversation should have been had. I do think, as I said, if you're coming from the perspective of AD, I do think Clay is constantly talking about how he's exposed to toxicity. He was toxic himself. And I don't think that bodes well for being in this relationship. Y'all know I'm not a Clay fan. I am not a Clay fan whatsoever. And I think that AD needs to run for the hills while she has a chance. But I think that if you're going to stay with somebody, yeah, it's not great to have them constantly talking about, I went through trauma. It's like we all do. We all do. What are you doing to be better rather than just talking? So all of the couples meet up, and they meet up on the beach, and everybody's kind of talking to each other, pairing off in these little groups, having a one-on-one. It is revealed that Chelsea and Jimmy consummated their engagement, I guess, because they're not married, but consummated their engagement. So I guess those two, they had some hate making love, I guess you could call it. So her quote, she quote, and I says, they needed to hold off, but now the floodgates are open and it is received. So I guess Chelsea is happy. We'll leave it there. Jimmy and AD have another conversation, and in my notes I'm like, why are these two always talking? Why are these two always having conversation? Why are these two always paired off for conversation? But they just have another conversation where they're talking about everything that happened the previous night. AD is like, well, I'm glad that you and Chelsea are on good terms now. It's nothing here. I'm glad you guys are on good terms now. I'm glad that everything was able to work out. Amy and Johnny have not consummated their engagement, and and it is because Amy is not currently on birth control. This actually does come up in the next episode, so I'll touch on it more there and give my takes on this. But yeah, basically it's revealed that Amy is not on birth control, and because of that, it's kind of hindering their intimacy. So they have not consummated their engagement yet. And then Jeremy does apologize to AD about the bean dip comment. AD is like, I'm good, I'm fine, it's cool. And that's just left there. And Jeremy talks about Jeremy also tells Jeremy also tells AD that Clay sometimes just needs space. Sometimes he just gets really introverted and he needs to just be quiet. He talks about how it's sometimes coming out of the pods. He would go from being his charismatic self to just being really in a shell of himself. And AD is over the moon, oh my God, I'm glad it's not just me. And it's why? Every single time someone says something to validate this relationship, I die inside because I just want these two to be done with each other. But Amy is concerned about her dad meeting Johnny. So her and Jeremy are having a conversation, and Amy is concerned about her dad meeting Johnny. He didn't really approve of this process at all. So he's really concerned about if he's going to be supportive, if he's going to be on board with it, or if he's even going to like Johnny. And Jeremy reveals in this conversation that he wants to meet Sarah, okay? He says that he and Sarah, they got along well, they had good banter, but the conversations were just too lighthearted, too fun. It never really touched on any serious topics, so he was concerned and he was worried about what would happen when things got serious. Whereas with Laura, it was always okay, here's a problem, here's how we're gonna solve it. So he felt like that was more of a mature and adult relationship. However, he says that he would still like to meet Sarah. Sarah asked if there was anything she could have done differently, and he didn't know, and he would still like to meet her, which I was like, oh, does your girl know that? Does your girl know that you want to meet Sarah? Anyway. So, Jimmy and Chelsea, these two are always drunk. That's what I put. I feel like Jimmy and Chelsea, they don't get along unless the two of them is drunk, okay? They do not like each other unless there is liquor in the room. So, It's giving friend vibes, but Chelsea's basically like, you know, are you concerned about us living together? How do you think it's gonna be? Because they're on their way back to Charlotte, and Jimmy's like, it's gonna be fine. Like, we've been living here together for a week. We've been good. And I was like, y'all been good? I'm like, we watched on this TV show y'all fight first day. What do you mean y'all have been good? I'm like, am I watching the same show? Because y'all haven't been good. But he says they've been good. And so they gonna be fine when they move back to Charlotte. So now we also see Amy and Johnny. And Amy basically reveals that she shared a lot in her previous relationships early on, and that wasn't very good, you know, that she basically would give it all up immediately. She also talks about how she was easily influenced, easily manipulated. Like, basically Amy is like, girl, I'm weak-minded. And I'm like, I don't know. The girl in me that has dealt with narcs is like, why are you telling a man this? Why are you telling a man you're easily malleable? Why are you telling a man that you have been easily manipulated? Why are you telling a man that you give up everything immediately? Now, Johnny, for now, seems like a very nice guy. We haven't seen anything that has indicated that Johnny's not a good guy or not a nice guy, but you never know. And if a guy was looking to manipulate you, you just gave him the ammo, sis. So I was like, why are we having this conversation? Don't ever tell a man that you were easily manipulated. I don't care if it's true or not. Don't ever tell a man you give it all up easily. I don't care if y'all are engaged. Do not tell him that. Bad idea. But she also reveals that she will not get married to him if she does not get her dad's blessing. And as stated earlier, he is not on board with this process. So they are all very worried about if he's going to be down to do this or not. So they get back to Charlotte. So Laura and Jeremy are in the shared apartment, and they basically go over their house pet peeves. It's things like leaving dishes in the sink, spitting, I think Laura said, not cleaning like clothes off the floor, laundry or something. And I was like, I agree, low-key agree. It's a long list, but I ain't gonna hold you. I agreed with a lot of them. So that was basically their conversation. They're just going over their home ground rules, basically. Kennedy? Maybe it should be Kennedy the way he is. Anyway, Kenneth and Brittany, they are back in their shared apartment, and basically Brittany is already unpacking everything, and Kenneth is literally in the room on his phone. That man is always on that phone. That man is always on that phone. So he is just on his phone, tapping away, and Brittany is like, so are you gonna help me unpack, babe? And he's like, yeah. You already getting straight to work, huh? And she's like, okay, but like, do you want to like try to help out? He's like, yeah, I just gotta send these emails, and I'm a principal, and I just got my phone back. And I'm like, okay. Then Brittany's like basically in the room trying to just make small talk with him, trying to talk to her. He completely ignores her. Like, I'm not joking. At least the way this is cut, because I know Netflix likes to cut things in fancy ways. But literally, we see him tapping on that phone as Brittany is standing right there. And he doesn't say anything. And I'm like, are you joking? This is why I keep telling y'all 25-year-olds are not ready for marriage. Because what in the world is going on? In what world do you think it is okay to blatantly ignore somebody as they are trying to speak to you? Okay, if you're in the middle of an email, it's more than fine to say, hey, yeah, I got you. I'll help you in 10 minutes. But it got to a point where Brittany was trying to just speak. Brittany's like, what's going on? What you up to? And Kenneth is ignoring her, like blatantly ignoring her. I'm like, this is not it. I'm like, this man is rude. He rude, okay? He is very rude. And again, I think that's that 25-year-old showing. Because that's how 25-year-old men be acting. Sorry. If you're a 25-year-old man, sorry. But that is literally how 25-year-old men be acting. Like this. And this is why I keep saying, stop putting people this age on this show. Ooh, child. But he is very distant. These two, they are not doing well. They are not doing well, these two. So AD and Clay, Clay is taking this big baby thing way too seriously. He's literally on the couch. AD's like sitting down, and then he's laying across the couch. And he got his legs all up on her, like, yeah, baby, I love this. And I'm like, this man taking this big baby thing way too seriously. They talk about meeting his dad, and he's like, you know, my dad might be flirting with you low key. You know, my dad, he kind of, you know, he might be flirting with you when he see how you look. He talks about, again, how his dad cheated, that, you know, his parents were really good friends, but at the end of the day, his dad cheated. And his dad would even sometimes bring him along on trips where he was cheating as a kid. And I was like, dang. I was like, this man needs therapy. Like, I'm like, that's a lot. You know, that is a lot to experience as a child. And again, it's like, you need therapy to help with that. You know, have somebody break down those feelings. I imagine that that is really a tough, rough experience to have as a kid, especially when you don't really understand what's going on. So Clay does say that he has never seen a relationship where a black relationship where the man was faithful. And I'm like, it's crazy to hear. It's crazy to hear, but I do feel like that is the experience of a lot of the community. And, you know, we could dive into that a lot because there, you know, obviously there is very successful black love relationships as well. But I do think that a lot of us do have these experiences where so many people in our lives, cheating was normalized. And I think, again, those are the kinds of things that you need to identify and be self-aware of. And this is what I'm saying. Clay is self-aware. Clay is very, very self-aware. But I think the problem is Clay doesn't know how to execute on that self-awareness because he hasn't gotten the proper tools to be able to move forward. So that is kind of my take on this. This video is 30 minutes long, so I've been talking, girl. So I'm gonna end it here, but that is episode 7, y'all. I have a lot. This is really crazy. Please, please, please do not put in the spoilers anything for further episodes. Okay, we gonna have episode 8 and 9. They gonna be up, don't worry. But please, please, please do not put spoilers. We are only talking about episode 6 in the comments here. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it to this point, please subscribe, please like, please share, please comment, please do everything to get my little channel off the ground if you liked the video, which if you made it till here, I know you liked it. So please do those things for me. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys for the next episode. Bye.